So we are live. So we
Hi, Krish.
hey Pareen. Hey. Yeah, we will probably be starting in another couple of minutes. Hello, good evening, guys, everyone. Hello. Oh, thank you. Hello, good evening. So, Pareen, are you ready? So can we
Yes.
move on? Yeah,
Good to
perfect.
go.
Yeah. So, hello, guys. So, welcome to this live stream. And today we are basically going to understand about Web 3.0. This is for starters, anyone who do not know the exact meaning of Web 3.0 and why it is actually used. So we are going to discuss about that. Today we have a very special guest. We have with us Pareen Lathia. So he is basically the co-founder of BuidlersTribe, and he is going to take this 45 minutes masterclass and probably explain you everything regarding Web 3.0. So, and yes, utilize this opportunity in understanding about Web 3.0. And Pareen, we will probably have a 45 minutes class, and then probably at the end, we may take up some of the questions. And then that is how we will try to conclude our session for today. I hope it is clear, Pareen?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
So perfect. You can start sharing your screen, Pareen, and start the masterclass itself. Thank you. I
Great.
think your video is not, I think you're not visible right now.
Not
I mean,
visible.
okay, just
Just
a second.
a minute.
Yeah, now that's perfect. Fine.
Awesome.
So again,
Great.
welcome, Pareen. Again, this is a really amazing opportunity to bring you to my channel and probably discuss about Web 3.0. I'm a super fan of blockchain, Web 3.0 in short, and probably we do a lot of things with respect to that. And I hope your masterclass gives an amazing experience to all the viewers who are here.
Thank you, Krish, for having me here, and thanks to Eximius Ventures for organizing this. I think it's a topic that is a little complicated and really new for most people, and I'm happy to share the foundations of why this is called Web3. How do we go about understanding the basic aspects, and also if someone is looking at building their career in this industry, how can they go about doing that, right? Because a lot of people are talking about it, but the technology is absolutely new. So let's go ahead and dissect this. I think there is a question and answer session at the end of the session here as well. But if there is any way that's possible that I can see the questions and keep answering them in the middle, I would be very happy to do that as well. So it doesn't become a monologue here. Uh, I'm not sure,
So,
Krish, if there
so
is a way to do that.
what I'm going to do is that so I've also given you the YouTube link in the chat, so you can open
Yes,
that. Probably people who are there, they'll keep on continuing messaging, and whenever you see an important question which is there, you can answer that.
that would be amazing.
So
That would be amazing.
I've already sent you the chat.
Great. So now this becomes a lot more interactive,
Yeah.
and let me just go ahead and give everyone a brief of what Web3 is in the first place. A lot of people are talking about Web3 as if this is some new version of the internet, right? So to understand this new version of internet, let's look at how the previous versions of internet, which were not even named, existed, right? So first, version of internet was basically when I could post some information and millions of people could read it. This was way back in the 90s and early 2000s, before we saw uh, sites like Yahoo Messenger and Orkut and Facebook come into play. Before this era, what we call Web 1.0. Right? Web 1.0 was essentially when one person wrote something on a web page and millions of people could see it. That's fantastic. That's much better than sending emails or sending out postcards or any other form of media that we had before. Uh, from this, we moved to Web 2. So anyone who has used, let's say, MySpace, Orkut, Yahoo Messenger, or now people are using Facebook, right? Or even Google for that matter. All of these things are considered to be Web 2.0. Web 2.0, the innovation here was that we had user generated content, which means I could go and post something on Facebook and that could be read by millions of people. That becomes an immense power because you do not need to be a coder to be able to do that. You have websites like Blogger, you have websites like WordPress, you have websites like Medium today that enable you to just type out whatever you want. You have platforms like Instagram, Twitter that let you post your videos, your photos. You have sites like YouTube where this is streaming today. We do not need to be a coder to be able to put a video on YouTube, right? Web 1.0, this was not the case. You had to be a coder to be able to upload a video. Web 2 took it one step further and said, okay, now I will not only stream content to a lot of people, but I will also let people post content, which is creation came into place. One typical thing that happened with Web 2.0 is that all of this content that we see today is hosted on someone else's server. So today, if YouTube shuts down, this live stream won't work.
Mm.
If Facebook shuts down, we know what happens. That rarely happens. But it's not a matter of shutting down. It's a matter of deciding who owns this content. Right? So essentially, I am creating a bunch of content. I'm posting it on Instagram. But in reality, Instagram owns that content. This is not about legality. This is not about technicality. It is about how the world practically works in real life. If Instagram wants to take a post down, they can. Same is the case with, we saw logins via Facebook, logins via Google, which is sort of become our identity today. So anytime you see a login button, what they are doing is they are verifying your identity. And this identity as well is controlled by most of these large companies. These companies became really large. They drove a lot of efficiency, and we are grateful for that. But today is the step when we do not want our identity, our content, or our finances. Three major aspects to be controlled by one company. Today we know that Facebook, Apple, Google, Netflix, they basically control everything that's going on, right? So what post do I see first and what post do I comment on? It's largely controlled by an algorithm. This algorithm is basically very opaque. You do not know how are they calculating which post is shown first or what video is censored on YouTube. And these are the general complaints that people have with Web 2.0, that we don't own anything. I can't really control most of the stuff that I do on a web platform. Enter Web 3.0. Web 3.0 came in with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first innovation that happened. And when we say Bitcoin, essentially what we are looking at is, for the first time, we are enabling peer-to-peer transfer of value. Right? So today, I'm just backing up from Web3 because you need to understand Bitcoin to even understand Web3, right? So today, let's say if I were to transfer 10 rupees from my account via UPI to your account, right? So I type out Krish's number and I say, okay, send 10 rupees from my Google Pay. What happens is there is a message that goes from my Google Pay to my bank, to Krish's bank, and then to Krish's Google Pay screen. And then he sees, oh, okay, I've received 10 rupees. Simple as that. But you will see there are two intermediaries here, which is Google and our banks. These intermediaries have a lot of authority and a lot of control over how these things work. What Bitcoin did is Bitcoin took all of this and said, hey, let's decentralize this, which means today there is a record that I paid 10 rupees to Krish. That record rests in a ledger entry in bank server. What Bitcoin did is said, okay, let's take this ledger and decentralize this. So today there are thousands of people who hold what we call Bitcoin's node. And that node has an entire ledger of every transaction that has been done on Bitcoin's network from 2009 until today. So that's the beauty of Bitcoin. If anyone has used torrents, you know what I'm talking about, right? This is how torrents work. It is completely peer-to-peer, and you don't have to trust any single entity. No single entity has any view, right? Also, all of this data is encrypted. So even if you get my wallet address, you can probably see what's going on inside, but you don't know who this wallet belongs to. And you can't hack into this wallet because the cryptography level that Bitcoin uses is probably the strongest in the world today. That is how Bitcoin is completely secure. So what Bitcoin did in 2009 is just said, okay, let's enable decentralized peer-to-peer transfers of value. What this value is, users determine. In 2009, people said one Bitcoin is 0.1 cent. So that was the value. Today, people say Bitcoin is worth $40,000. That's the value. It's free and open market. No one controls this as well. Now take this a step further. When Bitcoin did this, its code was open source. And the entire transaction ledger is still available for anyone who wants to go and check out each transaction. What a lot of smart people did is they said, okay, because this code is open source, let me copy this, paste this here, modify a little bit in this, and enable creation of data. So Bitcoin enables transfer of value from one person to another person. Ethereum, for example, enables transfer of any kind of data. So what I could do is I could actually post this video on Ethereum, and Ethereum would encrypt it and save it in a ledger. And this is the beauty of Ethereum. With Ethereum, the floodgates opened up. Everyone could create your own cryptocurrency. Today, they say that it takes 6 lines of code to create your own cryptocurrency, which means it probably 5 minutes to create, let's say, Krish coin. And that's as easy as that. Just because you created a coin doesn't mean it has value. But if you do something important with it, it will have value, right?
Okay,
So
Pareen,
that's
just one question in this is that, like, you're definitely saying a lot of advantages, but why central government is not backing up? Because from past 2-3 years, what we see, like, they put up some rules and regulation. Probably in India also, they are planning to come up with some kind of regulation specifically involving with cryptocurrencies and also. What do you want to say about this specific thing?
So the thing is, it would mean banning torrents, right? US tried this in 2013-14. China tried it in 2017. They are even trying it right now. You can ban mining. You can ban trading. But how do you ban holding something? That would be like saying I would ban pen drives. If I had a movie on my pen drive today and if I give that pen drive to you, how can you ban that? It's just simply impossible to ban something like this. So this technology, because it is peer-to-peer, there's no website to this that you can ban. It's not on App Store or Google Store that you can ban it like TikTok. It's simply impossible to ban something like this. What government is trying to do, and which is a very, very positive step, is to regulate it. Which says anyone who is using this for illegal purposes gets jailed. And that's how it should be, right? We don't want anyone to use cryptocurrency for illegal purposes. All of us are law-abiding citizens, but the way to go forward is to regulate it and say, okay, anyone who wants to buy cryptocurrency, submit your KYC documents. If you use this cryptocurrency for trading and make profit, pay tax on it. Great. If you end up doing some illegal activity with it, we can still track you because you've done KYC.
Hmm.
So that's how governments of the world are taking it. Japan was probably the first one to regulate cryptocurrency. Today it is regulated in US, Canada, Australia. Most of the European countries have regulated cryptocurrency, which means the government takes care of the illegal activities. But if I invest in Bitcoin today and if I make profit, why should a government stop their citizens from making a profit out of it, right? So
Hmm.
that's the point.
Hmm. Okay. Now, coming to this thing, like obviously you have told about just let the audience know, like how probably this entire mining takes place and how a Bitcoin is actually generated. All these things, if you can talk about it.
Right. So, see, mining, first disclaimer is mining is not profitable for individuals to be done, especially in India. It's not very profitable today. Uh, the way it works is every time I make a transaction on Bitcoin's network, let's say I send 1 Bitcoin to Chris today, uh, this transaction goes to all the miners. Basically, miners, think of miners as people with large computers that fill up a room. What are these computers doing? They are just cryptographically processing my transaction. So they are replacing all the people in the bank who are doing your, okay, this transaction is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. So think that these computers are doing that day in and day out. And these computers validate or invalidate a particular transaction. And while they do that, they are allocating a massive amount of power, electricity to this process. And when they do that, whenever they validate a particular transaction, they get a newly created Bitcoin as reward. So that's how the entire economics is built inside of Bitcoin.
Okay, and suppose a person A is probably trying to send person B some Bitcoins. Let's consider in that way. So in this specific case, also there is some transaction fees that is involved that goes to the mining team.
Yes.
Entirely
Yes,
we're
there is
leaving
a
it to them.
transaction fee involved. Today, if you transfer Bitcoin, there will be no transaction fee charged to you
Hmm.
because we have something called Lightning Network, which is a layer two solution. So there is a settlement layer on top of Bitcoin, which enables you to do that. And that's why virtually negligible fee is charged for this. But of course, whenever this entire batch of transactions is bundled and settled on Bitcoin, of course, there is a small fee to be paid.
Okay, and this probably many people ask, so what is the exact limit of the Bitcoins that are available, and probably till what time they will be doing the mining? After that, what will happen? Because later on you will be requiring again transactions to get added into the blocks, and for that you really need to successfully mine a block. If there is no reward, then how probably you will be mining a block that point of time?
So we don't know. The simple answer is we don't know. All of these things are very new. So what we are doing is we are still in a very experimental phase. Just just to set the context here, there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin in
Bitcoins.
existence.
Hmm.
21 million is something that Bitcoin's inventor Satoshi Nakamoto set, and that's how it is going to be. Till date, more than 18 million have been mined already. So only a very limited supply of Bitcoin is available to be mined now. What generally happens is that whenever Bitcoin supply goes low, the miners just stop selling it. And when they stop selling it, the price of Bitcoin just keeps going up. That's how miners are still rewarded and the economics still works. The last of Bitcoin will be mined in the year 2140, which is 120 years from now. At that time, we don't know what is going to happen. So the clear answer is we don't know. There are theories, experts are debating about what will happen, but I think thinking 100 years in the future is just futile as of now. Also, there are other innovations being done on Bitcoin and on other projects like Ethereum. So we really don't know where this is going to go. It's incredibly risky to invest in any of these cryptocurrencies at this point in time. The only proven cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. Everything else is a large experiment. Uh, Even Bitcoin is pretty new, right? So users should understand, the traders, investors should understand that they are investing their money in an incredibly high risk environment. So be careful. Everyone wants to double their money and everyone wants to really get 100x, make crores of rupees, but it also comes with significant risk there.
Okay, now see, the thing is getting quite interesting, and as you are telling, right, I'm getting more and more questions. Probably,
Please.
I know that
Yeah,
there
happy
are
to take that.
there are some questions that I really need to ask you, because I've been given some questions to talk to about
Please,
NFT, and
please.
all. We'll probably go over there.
Yeah.
My one simple question is that, like, okay, if Bitcoin is already there, why other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Ripple, this? Like, just for the audience sake, I have some
Yeah.
knowledge about it, but definitely
Yes.
I would like you to talk about it more.
Definitely. So, see, human beings are designed to innovate, right? Bitcoin is a great innovation. It's once in a generation, probably once in a 500-year innovation that has been done. That doesn't mean we stop there. So, people who are technically minded, who understand coding, who understand economics, who understand maths, they take that code and always try to improve on that. And that is what Ethereum has done today. So, with Ethereum and a lot of other blockchains that are out there today, people are actually creating what we call decentralized applications. So the reason for all of these cryptocurrencies to exist is that their team is working on creating dApps. Right? For example, in India, there is a team that is building a decentralized Zoom. There's a blockchain called Filecoin, and they have actually built decentralized Zoom on Filecoin, which means the video that we are sending right now is going through Zoom servers and it is going through YouTube servers and then it is going to the audience. Why do you want that? I don't want to send my data to Zoom server. So they've built an entire decentralized Zoom already, right? And this is no small feat compared to what we've seen till date. Similarly, there are people who are building decentralized Facebook, people who are building decentralized Instagram, right? And this just means that when I log on to that, my data is not shared with the company. Second is my identity is my identity. I'm not giving out my identity's control to someone like Google. And that's a very powerful thing to have. People are talking about WhatsApp privacy today. I hope that someone builds a WhatsApp on blockchain. And that would be way more secure. I don't want them to read my messages all the time.
Okay. Now, let's go back to Web 3.0. Like, if probably once we start implementing Web 3.0, and probably when the data is completely distributed, right, in a distributed network, at that point of time, also, I know that definitely the control of the data will be with us. So in that particular case, if an entity wants to use a specific data, we have to follow a different path for doing that.
So, okay, I think that's a really, really great question. That will put a lot of things in perspective. Let me give you an example here as well, right? Today, what happens is I go to a hospital or I go to a doctor and they say, okay, give me your blood pressure, give me your XYZ blood test, everything. What happens to that data? That data is inside the doctor's hard disk or some server inside the hospital that just sits there. It's not encrypted. It can be used for n number of purposes. It can be sold to credit card companies. Doesn't matter. There is no control once I give that data out. Now imagine this, which we call EMR, like electronic medical records, being built on blockchain. And a lot of people are working on this today, which means every time a doctor does my blood pressure, I need to connect my wallet address to be able to take that data and own that, right? I could have a wallet, which is as common as MetaMask wallet that is generally used by Web3 users. And when I connect that, that data will be connected to that wallet. Only when I authenticate with that wallet will someone get access to that data. Now, if there is an application that the doctor is using which requires this data because he needs to see it to give me medicine, what that application does is that application sends me a ping and says, hey, this doctor wants this data. And I say, okay, I know this doctor, I trust this doctor, give him access for next 2 hours. That's it. So the doctor gets authentication from my wallet address, and that data is accessible to only this doctor for 2 hours. After 2 hours, the access is limited. This is the world that we want to live in. We don't want to live in a world where 100 spammers call us and we have to install Truecaller, and then Truecaller mines our data and sells it to 100 other people. We know how that goes very well.
Definitely. So, so this is a very good thing, probably even the doctor want to see our results or reports, he will first of all ask our permission, and then probably only for a limited time. Wow, amazing. So now I think that question that I had answered you answers this all. Okay, now any shortcomings? Obviously, you have talked about the advantages of Web 3.0. Any disadvantages or shortcomings with respect to Web 3.0?
A lot of them. There are a lot of them, no denying that. Uh, First is that the technology is really new. So there are hacks all the time. It is unproven as yet. Uh, Second thing is the interface is really bad. The way I'm explaining right now, it's a simplification. But if you go and try and use some of these apps, the user experience is extremely terrible. There will need to be some time, maybe in a few years, it will be as easy as using UPI. Like using UPI is super easy today. Like using Amazon is super easy. Using Swiggy is very easy. We are not at that stage yet. It will take a few years for us to come to a stage where everyone is able to use it without worrying about what's going on. Third, and the most important thing is, we say when you own Bitcoin, you become your own bank, which means if I am holding Bitcoin in my wallet, which is a non-exchange wallet, the exchanges are a separate thing altogether. But if I withdraw it in a non-custodial wallet, uh, if I forgot the password, if I forgot the seed phrase, that money is gone completely. I cannot go and complain to anyone. Similarly, if I create a MetaMask wallet and I use it to log in for my social app, which could be decentralized Twitter or an NFT marketplace today or a DeFi protocol, and I forget the seed phrase, this is a disaster, right? So these are top three problems. Of course, when it comes to coins and trading, they are so volatile. Most of them die. Most of them lose most of their value. There is a ton of speculation in there. So you will see some coins going 100x up and then crashing immediately. Scams happening, frauds happening. All of these things are there. And everyone should be careful while using this. But it's good to learn. It's not important that you put some money. Don't go ahead and buy coins today. Go ahead and install MetaMask. See how it feels. Okay, you put in 1,000 rupees. Okay, not more. Don't aim to double, triple your money today. But learning is going to give everyone an edge in their own career, because this is going to affect every industry tomorrow.
Great. So this is also a very common question now. There is a lot of talk regarding the dynamics between the developer, community, members, and the institution, like how they can basically change Web 3.0 or how they can use it in an efficient way. So what is your take on that?
I think, again, we need to put this in some context. With
you can
Web3,
consider any use case, like if you probably also want to say with a specific use case, definitely go
right.
ahead.
No, I think this is a much larger question, and the context here is how we work as human beings, right? In Web 2.0, I saw certain things that I wanted to improve in Google. Let's assume that, right? I could not do that. I had to apply for a visa. I had to go for an interview, get a job in Google, and then say, "Hey, boss, I want to improve this." That's not true with Web3. Most of the code is open source. If you are a coder, you just go and put a proposal and say, "I want to improve this." The community will vote on it, and your code is inside Ethereum, which is a $250 billion company, so to speak, today, right? So as coders, we did not have access from India to go work in the Valley. This is not true anymore. Second, if you are a marketer, if you are a community builder, if you are making videos, if you are writing articles, if you are doing anything, You can just go in a community and say, I want to do this. And the community will pay you to do this. So that's on the other side. Third side is, let's say, if you saw Paytm way back in 2011, 2012, and you thought, wow, this is going to be big one day. I want to understand as an investor, this is going to be really big. You couldn't invest in Paytm. How do you do that? Unless the IPO happens. You couldn't invest in Zomato way back in 2011, 12, right? You just couldn't. That's not true of crypto. You can go, you can find a project that you really use, you believe in, and you can actually get the upside because you are an early investor today. When that project becomes big, you're going to get money out of it. So from all the sides, whether you are an employee, you are an investor, you are a coder, whatever way you want to work, all of this has become free today. And with remote work, with internet connection, Indians are getting paid as much as what Americans are getting paid today. There's no discrepancy there, and that's where India shines.
Thank you for this amazing thing. Now let's talk about the market size. How big is this specific market, and probably in the upcoming 5 years, how it may probably grow?
So I think we again here we need to understand that this market today is already really big, right? We are at the cusp of about $3 trillion.
better than most of the most of the upcoming or second tier companies, I guess. Countries.
Oh yeah, definitely. So this market globally is a $3 trillion. I think it crossed $2 trillion recently. That's more than Apple's market cap, by the way. So the industry is that big. Bitcoin itself is $1 trillion in market cap. Ethereum is close to, I think, $250 billion. Projects from India like Polygon, right? Polygon is $15 billion company from India. These are just the early signs. What I tell people is, don't look at the numbers, just look at where the industry is going, and where it is going is we are moving towards a tokenized world. Today we saw how tokens are traded for money. That's one use case. When you look at NFTs are taking over the world. Art, real estate, absolutely everything is becoming an NFT. Today, when you want to sell your car to me, you have to fill in a bunch of papers, you have to do this, you have to do that, go registration, change everything. No one wants to do this. In next 10 years, your car will be just an NFT token on your phone. And what you do is, just like you do a UPI transfer, you will go and you will transfer this NFT token to me and say, hey, now this car belongs to you. So everything that we are seeing in the physical world today, including your house, including absolutely any assets that you have, even equity for that matter, is going to be tokenized, because token is the easiest way of transferring value. When you see this in that way, whether you work in automobile industry, or whether you work in hospitality, or whether you work in real estate, your industry is going to be affected by this, what we call Web3. So the earlier you start learning, the better it is.
Okay. Since you have started talking about the NFTs, I'll just go one step before that. Can you tell us something about smart contracts also, because of Ethereum that is coming, Ethereum network, the blockchain network that is coming? Smart contracts has become very much popular, and that probably NFT is one of the derivative of it, right? Probably how NFTs are created, you basically use a lot of smart contracts. So in simpler terms, for the audience to understand what exactly is smart contract and how do we go ahead with it?
So if anyone has dealt with if else statement, that is what smart contract is, which says, okay, if India wins this match, Krish gives me $500. Great, right? Simple stuff, very simple stuff. If I don't run for 10 days, which my Fitbit tells me I'm supposed to give X amount of money, right? Whatever you want to program. This is what is smart contract. The conditions are pre-programmed. Says if this, if this, if this, if this, and the outcome is executed automatically by this smart contract. So we give it a little bit of time and say 3 months, okay, execute this smart contract, and it gets executed on its own. The smart contract itself is stored on a blockchain, so it cannot be changed. Both of us agreed to this. It's in smart contract. Now no one can change this. A very simple example of this is peer-to-peer lending. If you see protocols like Aave or Compound, what they've done is they've enabled peer-to-peer lending. So what I can do is I can go in Aave and say, hey, I have 10 Ethereum. I'm depositing this here. I need 12% interest on this. Okay, great. Now Krish comes to the platform and says, okay, I need to borrow some Ethereum. I need some money. What he does is he checks my offer and says, okay, I need this Ethereum. I will pay it back with 12% interest. This entire deal that we formed, we don't know each other. There is no middleman taking care of this loan like a bank, right? Nothing. This is just based on the fact that we've agreed to something, and that agreement is coded in a smart contract. So let's say you took a loan for 30 days. After 30 days, this contract will automatically withdraw that money and put it in my wallet. Simple as that, right? So this is what makes it so interesting, actually.
So, like as I said, like because of the smart contract, we are able to create NFTs also. Now, coming to the NFT, one thing that I really want to talk about is that, like, you have seen a lot of digital arts which is being sold at a very high price, you know. So,
Yeah.
One thing in that is that we can definitely use that digital art, right? We can basically just use it in any screenshot, anything as such. So,
Yeah.
what is the thing that is really like people are becoming crazy to buy that specific thing? You know, I've seen like how many $1 million Jack Dorsey first tweet, right? That was also sold at a very high price. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like the ownership is getting stored in the blockchain itself. But why this specific price is basically getting increased when the person can entirely use that particular digital art? So if you could had enlighten us with this.
So first thing that I would like to say is people are looking at NFTs as equivalent to digital art. That's not true. NFTs are contracts where ownership of anything is written, right? So apply this to a house and the entire thing changes. So imagine if my house was an NFT, then it's not like anyone can come and use my house. I'm still sitting inside my house, but I also have the proof that I own this house, right? So that's the larger context. Whenever we look at NFTs, we are always talking about digital art, but digital art is this small use case of NFTs. NFTs have a large other gamut of use cases. Coming to your specific point of digital art, yes, definitely. If I have a profile picture of a board ape which is worth millions of dollars today, you can always right click, save this, set it as your profile picture, but you still don't have the ownership to it. The record says I own it. This is almost like saying you can steal my car, of course, but do you own it? No.
Okay.
Why are we talking about this today? Is because there is no police for this, right? There is no police for you to do that. But look at today, what happened. Just today, Twitter announced that they are going to enable NFT profile pictures. So the police is going to be Twitter, which will say, hey, you don't own this NFT. You can't have this as a profile picture. The police is going to be everyone, every platform in the world is going to actually enable authentication of this. So whenever you are flaunting this, of course, you can print it and have it on your wall. No one stops you from that. The actual police with guns is not going to come and take it down from your wall. But that way I can photocopy an MF Hussain painting and put a duplicate on my wall as well, right? No one is stopping me from that. It's a nice decorative piece, works. But when someone tells me, did you actually buy this? Do you have the certificate of origin of this painting? I will say, no, sorry, this is only worth 500 rupees, not 5 crore rupees. Right? So that's the context here.
Okay. Now let's talk about ICOs, initial coin offering, and IDOs, IBOs. Probably a 5 minute talk on this, just to give the basic things to the audience. Uh, you can go ahead with that.
So, one of the things that Ethereum enabled is creation of coins. That's why it's so popular, because not only did it allow smart contracts and a host of other innovations, but it also enables people to create coins today. Uh, which means when you launch a coin, you are launching it technically. Ideally, you should be launching it for a specific purpose. So tomorrow, Starbucks launches Starbucks coin and says, okay, all the points that people have in their Starbucks cards are now on blockchain, Starbucks coin, right? This will be valuable because I may have 1,000 Starbucks points, but I don't use it. One of my friends is a crazy coffee drinker. I'll be like, hey, buy it from me, man. Buy it for half the price. I don't mind
Mm.
because I'm at least getting something, right? So these coins, whenever they are created, technically they need some kind of utility, which is not true. Today, coins are being used just with a website and with a white paper. Most of them die after a while, but you still need a launch platform where an initial set of users come and buy your coin, right? Uh, who eventually should become your community. That's not true all the time, but they should become your community. And when they become your community, they end up supporting you in every way possible, which is product development, design, whatever you need help. ICOs were the first platform that were created to launch a particular token, which was called initial coin offering. Just like we have IPOs, they called it ICO. They turned out to be mostly scammy. Most of the ICOs have disappeared today. Then people realized that these ICO coins that are launching on an exchange, they are being pumped artificially. There are a lot of cartels behind it. There's a lot of speculation behind it, and there's hardly any transparency. So people started trusting a few exchanges, and they said, we will do IEO,
Mm.
initial exchange offering.
Okay.
IEO means I'm not trusting the founders, I'm trusting the exchange,
Mm.
right? Because if exchange does something shady, they lose all their business. Uh, Most of these IEOs lasted for a while, but there are hardly any IEOs happening today
Mm.
because people needed more transparency. So then there were platforms that came across. One of the most popular is Polka Starter, that came across and said, we will enable doing IDO, which is initial distributed offering,
Mm.
which means completely decentralized. So what I can do as a founder is I can go create my coin in Ethereum, launch it on Polka Starter. And
Mm.
when I launch it on Polka Starter, uh, every person who is buying this gets a fair chance
Mm.
to buying my token. Plus, they can see how much the team holds, how much the VCs hold, how much early adopters hold. Everything is supposed to be transparent. Not that it works exactly like that, but this is the concept of IDOs. Now, today, the most popular form of launch is IDOs. And this just means you get an initial set of community, people who are early adopters. They usually come and use these apps, point out bugs, and also help founders refine this. That's why founders reward them with a very, very low price. But
Mm.
IDOs are infinitely more risky than buying a coin of an exchange.
Mm.
So everyone's got to be super careful while going ahead and buying a coin on an IDO platform.
Mm. Okay. So, okay, let's talk about decentralized finance, because this is like right now, many people again are talking about it. Many companies are building a lot of applications over here.
Yes.
So, anything that you really want to give an idea to the audience, like what is DeFi, that is decentralized finance, and what kind of applications, probably with some examples which companies are doing right now.
So I think the lending example that we looked at
Hmm.
is the uh, simplest example of DeFi.
Okay.
Uh, but just to explain the word decentralized finance, whenever you are looking into Web3 or any vertical, not just DeFi, what you should be looking at is who are they removing? So let's take the peer-to-peer lending example that we just talked about, right? Uh, when I give out a loan and you take a loan, this entire process is handled by smart contracts. What are we doing? We are taking out a middleman, which is bank or loan sharks or whoever they may be, and we are putting in smart contracts.
Mm.
So when it comes to any Web3 product, this is how everyone should think about. What are we removing? Which is the person or the entity that we are removing and fitting smart contracts. Now apply this to a large variety of financial transactions. So mutual funds. What are mutual funds? All of us give in money. There's a large corpus of money. There are some 50 people deciding, okay, let's buy this share, let's buy that share, let's do this, let's do that. They invest, whatever money comes back, they keep a portion of it and give it back to all of us. Why do we need them? Technically, we don't. Right? So take them out, put them, it becomes DeFi version of mutual funds. Same is the case with fixed deposits. Same is the case with insurance for that. Any complex financial product can be decentralized today. We have that technology that exists. Not that all of it is happening today, but in next 3 to 5 years, we will see this happening.
So two questions that have come over here. I'm just going to ask that. Please explain how should companies think about tokenomics, private sale versus public sale?
Oh,
so this is one of the questions.
This is a complex topic.
Like in an easy way, systematic way, probably.
Let me give you an overview. See, first thing is you need to talk to a tokenomics expert. No doubt about that. But generally, when you look at tokenomics, what you are looking at is how will you allocate your tokens. So there is generally a certain amount that is saved for the team and the founders. There is generally a certain amount that you give out to private investors, because these private investors help you out with a ton of things when it comes to launching a project. There is a large portion, usually 30 to 50%, even 70%, that is saved for the community, because you got to give community some rewards for doing certain actions. That is what gains early traction to your project. There is a certain that is saved for your marketing. There is certain section that's saved for your liquidity, which means initially when you launch on an exchange, you need certain liquidity for people to be able to buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. You will have to provide that from your treasury, is what we call it. The ways to design tokenomics, there are n number of models, and every month we see models being changed. There is no one recipe to this. But the easiest way to start is to figure out how much money do you want to raise in total. That will make your project sustain for next 3 years at least. And then figure out how much you want to allocate. Once you decide how much to be allocated to community, other aspects, then you will be left with a small percentage that you can go out and sell to private investors and raise their money based on what help you need. The only reason you are raising money from private investors is because you need a ton of help from them. Otherwise, you could just go and launch your token, let people buy it, and you get enough money.
Great. So, Pareen, like many people now obviously are looking for job opportunities in Web 3.0 also. So the first question is that what is probably the roadmap you should basically take to learn or to get into this field, and what are the kind of job opportunities that is?
I'm glad someone asked this. This is a really important one. What I would say is there is no way you can read about this. It's like trying to read about swimming. You won't be able to do that. The best thing is to first, there is this app MetaMask that we are talking about. Download MetaMask. It's just a Chrome extension. You can use it. Maybe put $5 worth of crypto in that. Don't put too much. Okay, don't invest. Go ahead and invest all your savings in some crypto token. That's not going to work out very well. But with those $5, go and buy an NFT. These are the steps that you need to do. Go to Aave and try to take a loan out. Don't go and take a large loan. Okay, take a $10 loan and see how it works, right? So steps: install MetaMask, buy an NFT, mint an NFT, take a loan. These things should enable you to get very, very well versed with how Web3 apps are going to work. Uh, Eventually, what I would say is get into a DAO. DAO are decentralized autonomous organizations. Most of these DAOs have bounties. Okay, so based on whatever your skill is, find the DAO and apply for their bounties. Try and make a video for them, you will get $100. Try and write an article for them, you will get $50. These are very open avenues for you to work with. You don't need to go all out and do anything. You don't need $1 million ape to make money. What you need is some skills and some time that you're willing to put and learn about it. Apart from that, I think there are a ton of resources available. One of them is A16Z Crypto School. Probably I'll drop a link here in the chat, and that has a ton of information about it. One thing that I've seen people make a mistake with is not reading about Bitcoin enough. Bitcoin is considered a boomer technology today, and people don't pay attention to it because they say, "Ab ye to ho gaya 40,000. Abhi how high is it going to go?" That's so not true.
So I
If you
asked you
don't
that question,
understand
right? Like
Bitcoin,
I asked you that question since 18
yeah,
billion have already been extracted or mined. Now, after that, to do any kind of transaction, how probably you're going to add block? I definitely feel that the price will go more higher because the quantity is very less. So,
it's not only about the price. It's about, don't buy Bitcoin, but what
mm,
you do is you understand it first,
mm,
and that was the genesis of
mm,
everything. So there is this book called the Bitcoin Standard.
mm,
That is considered Bible for our entire industry. Uh, these days, people don't respect it too much, but I think without reading that, you are always at the risk of not understanding what's going on because there is a ton of crap in the market.
mm,
People push out all narratives because they want to pump their own token.
mm,
Don't listen to these things. Hardly any influencers out there that's going to understand what you're doing. So what I'm going to do is paste the link of Bitcoin Standard ka summary in the YouTube itself,
mm,
comment section. Just watch that. It's a 1 hour video series,
mm.
very simple to understand. This guy just reads out the book. That's it. It's very boring and stuff. But 1 hour, spend that. It'll be probably saving you from thousands of dollars worth of loss someday, and
Mhm,
that's important.
mhm,
Someone asked how to create a DAO. Naman, you can actually create a DAO in 15 minutes. If you go just Google this same question, how to create a DAO, you can create a DAO in 15 minutes. Try it out. No money required to create a DAO.
mhm. So, what about the job opportunities for him? Like in the
Same
upcoming years?
job opportunities. There are a ton of them. Let me post a link to one Telegram group
Mhm.
uh, here as well that has a ton of jobs that are by Indian Web3 projects.
Hmm.
This has all the greatest companies. Uh, you can apply for any of the job here, but
So,
again,
are you trying to put the link in YouTube comment?
yeah,
Because
I just pasted it in the YouTube.
no,
I
actually the
did
problem
it.
is that I guess it may get blocked. Again, YouTube has put
Oh, okay.
like a kind of
Yeah.
spam thing, you know. So,
So let me just paste it here.
yeah, you give me in the
Jobs.
Zoom chat so that I will
Yes.
probably drop it.
Jobs and the link to Bitcoin Standard.
Hmm.
And the
Okay.
third link. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that this is getting blocked. Yeah.
No, that is the functionality of YouTube, like
Yeah. Of
spammers,
course. Of
like
course.
preventing of.
It's important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we talk about
And
Bitcoin and all,
A16Z.
the more spammers are actually coming now. Probably some people may write comment or.
Yeah. Of course. These are the ways. But what I would say is go work for a DAO before you work for anything else.
Hmm,
Uh, as simple as that. When you work for a DAO, you're not quitting your own job. What you're doing is just Saturday, Sunday sitting and learning. When you do that, it becomes very easy for you to get a taste of how this feels like. Once you do that, then you build that conviction and go ahead and take a leap completely.
Okay, one thing, Pareen, this is probably my question. This is with respect to Metaverse, which was recently announced by Zuckerberg, obviously, his concept of Metaverse. So what do you think? Like, I know, like, we cannot continuously be in Metaverse. Obviously, there was a movie called as Free Guy. You've seen that,
Yeah.
and probably there was an AI person who was in that Metaverse world doing a lot of different activities and all. So what is your take on that Metaverse thing? Like, do you think...
We will live in metaverses for sure. I do definitely believe that, but I don't see that as bad.
Hmm.
I see metaverses as human experiments.
Hmm.
Human beings find it very hard to experiment with society, right? When we say, I want to organize in this way, I want to incentivize this, I want to pass this law, I want to pass that law, it's very difficult for us to organize this. But in metaverses, it becomes very easy. It becomes super easy to organize and test things out. Right. So
Hmm.
see them as an experimental ground. There's a video that I actually made few months. Uh, I think this was about 10 days before the Facebook announcement.
Hmm.
This is how I look at metaverses. It's probably a long conversation, but one thing that I would point out is there are going to be closed metaverses and
Hmm.
open metaverses. What Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do is create
Hmm.
a closed metaverse, which
Hmm.
means your data is still controlled by them, your identity is still controlled by them, and all your assets inside the metaverse is still controlled by them. Today, if you play a game, let's say Fortnite or anything that you're playing today, when you buy these skins, you can only buy them. You can't take them with you.
Take them with you. Yes.
So there are enough open metaverses being built. These metaverses are being controlled by the community. And that is where my interest lies. That unless the community controls this metaverse, we are not going to work with that. Facebook metaverse is definitely a no-go because we see how Facebook controls everyone just with Instagram app. If anyone has seen Social Dilemma, you know
Hmm.
how that works. Uh, this is a open metaverse. I've pasted a link here. It's called Decentraland.
Yeah,
Decentraland
decent.
is completely open.
I have some NFTs over here.
You know how this works, yes. And
So,
that doesn't look as sexy as Facebook.
yeah, yeah.
But sexiness is one thing, but your freedom is what you are giving up on if you go after just high resolution.
Okay, one person from the audience says that his name is Jogeshwara. He says, "Hey Krish, I am a Web3 content maker. Please tell." He's telling you to tell. You know,
Please
uh,
DM me. I would be happy to work with you. We want content makers all the time.
so okay, one last question. Like, probably I know because of the time constraint is already
Yeah,
set. So, how many years? Probably will take this last. How many years would you
yeah.
think it takes from people to completely shift from Web 2.0 to 3.0? I think this is a question
Wow.
that I've...
If you read the Bitcoin standard, you will be converted in 1 hour.
One hour.
You will never go to Web 2.0.
Yeah, if you probably understand the entire applications and
Yes.
yeah, many things are there internally. So thanks, Pareen. It was an amazing session. I probably I already know about blockchain, meta, and all, but definitely after having a discussion with you, my mind has still more broadened up with all these things. And it was amazing to have you in my channel again. And
Thank you.
probably the audience have also liked it. You can see over there, like many people have since. So, guys, I think you should say Pareen OP. So that
Thank you,
so
everyone. Thank you for all of these questions. They were really relevant, and I hope it helps people in finding some kind of a path.
yes,
Right?
yes. So thank you, Pareen, again to be with us, spending your
Yep.
amazing time over here and probably helping out all the audience here itself.
Yeah.
Uh,
If anyone is looking for a job, please feel free to DM me or anyone from BuildersTribe. I think we have a bunch of content on our YouTube channel as well. Not as amazing as Krish's, but some small steps that we are trying out here. But in terms of jobs, there are at least 7 positions that we are hiring for. So happy to take all the applications.
Pareen, now you can see all OPs on your side. See the messages.
Yeah.
So guys, all the information regarding Pareen's company is given in the description. You can go over there, contact them if you are probably looking for jobs, specifically content making jobs, right, Pareen? Are you telling about
Any job. We have 7 positions open.
Okay, perfect. So you can go ahead and apply for it, and that is the main purpose over here, making you knowledgeable, and apart from that, providing all these facilities also. So thank you, Pareen, again, once again. And
Thank
yes,
you, Krish.
probably we may again do some kind of amazing sessions like this, where we can
Yes.
make our audience more knowledgeable about things.
Happy
And
to.
and probably I probably had my first blockchain kind of Web 3 kind of decisions. I mean discussions in this way, where I have also learned a lot of things. So thank you, Pareen, and yes, thank you guys.
Thank
This was
you.
it from my side. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you, one and all. Bye bye. Thank you, Pareen. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.